What's good, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Black Eyed Peas' fourth studio album. This album came out in 2005, the spring of 2005, and it's called Monkey Business. Now, this had a string of top 3 and top 5 singles on there. Definitely a pretty good hit album, massive project, one of the larger rap albums from 2005, despite the fact that it's not gangster rap and hardcore rap and stuff like that. It's just kind of a more neat and prim and proper rap release, and that's kind of similar to their 2003 album Ella Funk, which was kind of a surprise hit in the spring and summer of 2003, with kind of more just warmer rap songs like Where Is the Love, Hey Mama, and Let's Get It Started, which were all kind of, at least Let's Get It Started and Hey Mama were kind of up-tempo songs, but they just were kind of cleaner rap and less kind of abrasive and aggressive rap compared to some of the stuff that you would hear out of gangster rap and just kind of more abrasive type stuff. So that's always been Black Eyed Peas kind of stick, is they're just a little bit more prim and proper and more kind of blue collar and more kind of like role model type rap in a lot of ways. Now they do still have some booty shakers, and it does get like it does get kind of saucy, but the concept behind it is the fact that it's basically about as like prim and proper as most rap is going to get. And I just would have to say, for the concept, I look at the amalgamation of this project, and I have to say that it's kind of amalgamation as far as pulling off doing like this prim and proper rap, but then also having a number of hit singles that can still make you want to get up and dance and kind of have a miniature party and that type of stuff. I just feel like this was probably one of the seminal and definitive rap albums for like a blue collar party throughout the mid 2000s. It just works that well. I think Ella Funk at least kicked it off in a mild sense, but this is actually pretty much damn near like a state of the art album. It's pretty damn close. Out of 15 songs, I definitely like more than half the albums. There's a number of just packed to the gills hits on here that, even though it's not, guns busting and that type of stuff and gangster rap and those type things, people getting shot and that type of stuff, it does kind of have the situation as far as talking about that there is some quality stuff on here. And I think that kind of is the context. It was kind of refreshing when you look at some of the people who were huge in 2005, like when you think of like Lil Wayne, Paul Wall, Mike Jones, Chamillionaire, 50 Cent, Tony Ayo, some of those type folks. I mean, most of those guys were kind of, for the most part, had more thug posturing and that type stuff. And I don't have a problem with any type of rap style in that sense. I listen to gangster rap and rap of more street valves often, but this is kind of like a refreshing interest type thing, just because it's just, like I said, it's a lot more prim and proper and blue collar type rap, but it manages to do it with a certain kind of style and finesse that no one else is really pulling off, especially back in 2005. So it's just interesting kind of get that, where it's just more lighthearted and kind of just more kind of I'm kind of having a lack of word as far as what to describe it, but just kind of more neat and kind of organized and kind of more in that kind of valve of rap music as far as that kind of goes. But another problem with this project, though, is just the fact that Black Eyed Peas, after the hit success, this is a real hit album when it came out in 2005. They lasted into 2006 for a little while, but after that, Fergie dropped a solo album in the fall of 2006, and then the year after that, will.i.am dropped an album. So they really did not get back to doing stuff until 2009, which I really felt like, I think Black Eyed Peas probably could have capitalized completely on their success from this, the breakout success of this album, had they dropped in like 2007, maybe 2008 at the latest. Now, their 2009 album, the END, The Energy Never Dies, that was a pretty massive project and really had a number of hits throughout the rest of 2009 and into 2010. But I still feel like this was a nice taste of the 2000s. I would have liked a 2007 2008 version, but there's just plenty of stuff on here. Like I said, if you have listened to albums like 50 Cent's The Massacre, Tony Ayo's Thoughts of a Predicate Felon, Lil Wayne's The Carter 2, Notorious B.I.G.'s Duets, The Final Chapter, and Paul Wall's The People's Champ, some of that type of stuff, and you have some degree of tire of like the ruggedness. This is kind of a healthy and refreshing type rap angle for that sort of concept. It's definitely blue collar friendly. I feel like this is a better model for like more blue collar and kind of work related stuff, but it does have some dance club. Definitely like the kind of amounts on here. Fergie is very seductive on this project. I definitely think she does a great job of kind of bringing that female sauce and spice to the album. And will.i.am, Apple the App, and Taboo do a good job of like housing this project together and kind of keeping it well made. So I think that that's kind of the concept just about it. This really is a nice taste of 2000s kind of rap. I definitely think, and especially in terms of the singles, that this was a good face of rap in kind of a healthier sense in a lot of ways. That's kind of the thing. But so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the singles. "Don't Funk with My Heart" was the first single, and this single came out in the spring of 2005, the month before the album came out, and it's kind of a nice little relationship song, definitely kind of lighthearted in a lot of senses, but it just kind of feels a lot more tepid in terms of the relationship, not quite as serious as like it just kind of feels more of like a puppy love and kind of teenage relationship type stuff. Not quite as, I mean, I feel like I would say "Don't Lie" is a little bit more intricate a relationship song, but this one's just kind of more, oh, you asked this girl to a dance at school or something like that, or one of those situations, just kind of in a more just kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for, just platonic almost. It just feels a little bit more platonic and not quite as like spread out as much. I think that's just kind of the concept. Maybe just walking up to a few women at a bar or something like that and just kind of trying your luck. It's just a little bit more of a straightforward kind of hapless kind of relationship song, but I do like it. I do kind of feel like it's a nice one. Not quite as like endearing as like "My Humps," or not quite as endearing as "Don't Lie," and not quite as emphatic as "My Humps," but I do appreciate it. This is kind of like, this entry kind of puppy love type stuff in this, that sort of sense. I kind of feel like it's a nice one. It definitely crested really high. It has a great hook on there. Fergie does the hook and it's pretty inescapable. I definitely feel like it's a nice one. It's just pop rap, kind of more hip hop more so than rap in there. These guys do a good job with that, but this is kind of, I mean, these are the kind of what you talk about where this is just kind of more puppy love and a lot more just kind of like bubbly. I mean, that's the word I would just use for it, is these are like very bubbly songs and they just have a lot of like pop to them in that sort of sense. That's kind of the thing. But it is a good song. I mean, it's definitely hooky. It's a great song, great hook, great kind of club type feel. I would listen to this in the club. It just kind of is a romantic song, but it's kind of in a more platonic sense. Is this kind of, it's not as deep as some of the other ones, but I do like it. So this is kind of the concept. I mean, I could keep talking about this song, but it's just interesting to kind of get that, just because it's nice. It's definitely a nice dance club song to kind of hear, but it's, there are songs that are better abound, and that's just kind of the concept when you think of songs to listen to with your boo or something like that. Is this kind of, there's just a lot more emphatic ones as a better choice, but this is a very platonic song, but it is good. So the second single is "Don't Lie," and this is a little bit more intricate a song. Definitely kind of like a hazy, kind of almost acoustic guitar kind of romantic summer type song and that type stuff. Just a breezy, kind of hapless 80 degree weather type day, something like that. And just kind of in the context, almost can be picnic. I feel like this could be a blue collar song, just kind of a hapless one, a little bit carefree in that sort of sense, kind of typical of the stuff that like happened a lot. Just more picnic related, kind of summer barbecue type stuff. Just an easy kind of song for like June, July, August, that type of stuff. Maybe even May, thrown in April. Some of those just more, weather, going out for the afternoon kind of songs. Fergie does a nice job with the hook. This really kind of works pretty well. It's just like a nice one. I feel like this one, like I said, is more intricate than "Don't Funk with My Heart." But "My Humps" is the third single. This is probably my favorite of the singles, but then I realized just recently that I like "Pump It" pretty well too. But "My Humps" is the third single. This is definitely the dance club song. This is definitely like the most electro pop and the most kind of this is probably the most club oriented of the ones, the most dance ready. Like I feel like "Don't Funk with My Heart" was a nice kind of entry dance club type song, just kind of in a more platonic sense. But "My Humps" is definitely kind of a little bit more saucy and flirtatious and just kind of provocative, I would have to say. But I look at the concept behind it. It just is, yeah, like I said, this is probably my favorite of the singles. Like it's kind of obstinate. I would say the lyrics are kind of obstinate, at least from the female perspective, but it does kind of have the right sense of just that kind of bickering between the male and female perspective that kind of goes along with the song. So it is a nice one, but you just have to understand that it is kind of an obstinate song. But I do like it. I do feel like it's a great dance club song. You can still hear this on the clubs today, 18 years later and stuff. It still is pretty much a highlight. I feel like this one, and Don't Funk with My Heart are two highlights that I still continue to hear even today, and they work extremely well. Um, the fourth single is Pump It, and this one's kind of a lot more. This one is a dance club song, and I was kind of surprised by it because originally I thought it was just like a rap rock song. I remember hearing it, and I would always prefer My Humps and Don't Funk with My Heart to this, but this is actually a song that you can dance to pretty damn well. This is actually a good one to just kind of be in the heat of like a dance club and those sorts of moments and kind of just get your groove on and that type of stuff. This works pretty well. Like I said, these are all lighthearted and kind of more pop rap and kind of hip hop type songs, but it just works. All these hooks are amazing. All four of these hooks are just earworm, outstanding, kind of stay with you and kind of are emphatic and repeatable and recitable and that type of stuff. They just work extremely well. It's real melodic. Pump It. I just feel like this is a nice one. This is probably a little bit more ravenous energy than My Humps, where My Humps was kind of the more saucy, kind of provocative number that's still a dance club and sultry type song. But Pump It's just a little bit more furious energy and a lot more kind of crunk type energy towards it. But it's not quite a crunk song like My Humps is, but it just has like a more just really fit for the dance club, despite the fact that it's not hip, that it's not more rap oriented. This is just kind of more pop oriented, but it still works. But that's the four singles. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend the 9 songs out of 15 that I recommend so you can see these. So they would be the 9 songs I recommend to you would be My Humps, Don't Funk with My Heart, Feel It, Don't Lie, Disco Club, Ba-Bump, Pump It, My Style, and Dumb Diddley. So to talk about some of these, like besides the 4 singles, I'm going to talk about some of these other ones that work real well. Like I feel like My Style, this has Justin Timberlake and Timberland on this has Justin Timberlake and Timbaland on there. And this is like a real kind of in the midst of a dance club type song. I mean, a lot of these songs that Black Eyed Peas did, they didn't really do club songs as much as they did dance club songs. Like I feel like My Style, Disco Club, Feel It, and Ba-Bump are all great dance club songs right in the heat of it. I feel like Don't Funk with My Heart and My Humps are some more dance club songs. Like the 4 songs that I feel like are kind of more dance club oriented, like Feel It, Disco Club, Ba-Bump, and My Style. I'll go ahead and talk about these. So Ba-Bump is definitely like a really emphatic kind of one. This kind of has a more furious tempo like Pump It. This is probably the more kind of little bit more dirty dancing type one, a little bit more provocative, kind of similar to My Humps and Pump It. This is definitely a nice one, a little bit more freaky a song, definitely a nice one to kind of get crunk to and that sort of thing. Now I think the beat is not quite as good as like songs like Feel It and My Humps and like Pump It and Don't Funk with My Heart, but it is a pretty nice one. I can definitely see women getting pretty, just depending upon the atmosphere. I mean, really, there are dozens upon dozens of better dance club and club type songs from like hardcore rap and that type of stuff. But I feel like in a pop rap setting where Black Eyed Peas doesn't really have much competition, this is a pretty good one. And it's not to say that Black Eyed Peas is bad in any sense. I'm going to give this album a high score, but just looking from like pop rap that just is kind of healthier in that sort of sense is definitely like a nice, like I feel like when Pump It comes on, it's kind of like one of those aw snap kind of moments, just kind of in the sense, just because like it's kind of like mild in the sense of like the ferocity compared to some of the club songs and ravenous stuff that you hear from like rap nowadays and that type of stuff. But it does, I mean, for a pop rap and kind of healthier setting, it works. I do feel that. I feel like Disco Club is like a really vanilla dance club song. I feel like for just a standard dance club, like obviously I think dance clubs at this stage just play the hit singles. They probably wouldn't get to like the album cuts anymore, but I feel like this is just a very substandard vanilla dance club song. It doesn't really have much of like a song title either. It's just kind of called Disco Club. So it's just basically just like a vanilla dance club type song, but it works. It does have its quality in there. And My Style is another one that's kind of in the heat of the dance club. I feel like this one's a little bit more ferocious energy, kind of similar to Pump It and Ba-Bump. but it just is kind of, yeah, I mean, I think Justin Timberlake enhances the song real well, and I think Timbaland the beat enhances it real well. It's just kind of like a nice kind of high mid tempo, low high tempo. It's kind of like a nice high mid tempo, low high tempo type song. If you keep up with that, this is kind of the concept about it, but it is a nice one. And then I would have to say, and then Feel It's a really nice one. I mean, this kind of has like a very overcast and kind of larger than life type energy about it. This feels a lot more hammy in a sense, but I kind of like it just because it really works as quite an emphatic style. I mean, this is probably one of the better beats on here. This is definitely one that can be played at a club. Just kind of feels a little bit more relaxed, but still kind of has like the energy of just like a great night at the club and that type stuff. Is just kind of the more emphatic. I definitely feel it's emphatic, and like that may actually be the only one. Like that's pretty much the most emphatic one, the most probably one of the more endearing club beats on here, kind of similar to some of the stuff that LMFAO did when they went over the top. But it's not. I mean, I feel like the hook from Fergie was pretty nice on top of that, so that's like a real nice one. But it just has a real emphatic feeling. But it's just a great kind of dance club type song. All of these four ones that I chose for you, Feel It, Disco Club, Ba Bump, and My Style, all are great dance club songs in addition to the singles. You know, My Humps, Don't Funk with My Heart, My Humps, Don't Funk with My Heart, Pump It, and yeah, those are so basically about seven songs out of these nine that I recommend to you are just interchangeable with the dance club. And then I feel like Dumb Diddly is a great kind of reggaeton type, quick tempo type song. This is definitely an up tempo club type song. I feel like this could probably be played in the club like My Humps. It's not quite as like distinct as like the singles are, but I can see it definitely having like a great rave energy as far as trying to get that context kind of going. So that's a nice one, real nice kind of uppity and kind of this quick and kind of pulsating type club song. And then, yeah, I think that about covers it. I covered the four singles, the four other songs, and then Dumb Diddley. So, talk about some of these songs I didn't like, I didn't. I really. There were some songs like "Gone Going" and "Union" and "Audio Delight" at high fidelity that I just didn't like the production on them or just the approach of how they went. Like I know I'm kind of like a stickler. I know I'm kind of like a sucker for like dance club and nightclub type songs, but I really kind of question this kind of the differential type energy of "Gone Going," "Union," "Audio Delight" at high fidelity and like that. I mean, all of those were just kind of differential kind of topics that just kind of had some awkward. I kind of feel like that was just kind of trying to be a more hardcore hip hop type song, and it just really didn't fit in with the rest of the album. They got Black Eyed Peas got James Brown, which James Brown, he was pretty much at the end of his life by the time he appeared on this album. It was just too lengthy a song. And this was kind of, I would have expected James Brown to be on like a good soulful type hit that could have really been emphatic and breathed some life back into his career at that late in his career, but this didn't turn out that well. I felt like that one was kind of a lengthy one that just it kind of had a clumsy approach and just was not quite as emphatic as some of the dance club songs that they did so emphatically on this album. And Bebo kind of, I mean, this one was okay, but it was just kind of like it was in a different language, and it was just kind of an odd one. I just wonder what kind of caused them to kind of have the direction of that particular song. So it was just kind of an awkward one in there. So that's just kind of the concept of some of these. Like a lot of these are just kind of awkward topics like Union and Gone Going and Audio Delight at high fidelity. And there's just kind of some kind of off the wall kind of beaten prospects on here that just kind of don't make a ton of sense and just kind of grab gravitate away from like the package of what they kind of had going. So there's just like some oddballs in here. There's some ones that stick out like a sore thumb and just kind of have like a lot of awkward energy. But I'm gonna give this album me liking 9 out of 15. I'm gonna give this album a 7 out of 10. I feel like a 7 out of 10 is pretty solid and stuff. I think that that's just above average, but just the context of some of these songs that kind of needed work and some of these awkward ones kind of drag it down. But I definitely, like, I tried listening to this album like 8, 9 years ago, and I remember only liking less than half, only like a third of the project. So I think that that's an improvement. Me liking only 5 or 6 songs now, me liking almost 2/3 of the albums. That's definitely kind of the thing, but I think it's pretty quality. 7 out of 10 is definitely solid. I feel like that's really good. But if they just would have packed this album with like maybe one more single and a couple more bops for like the dance club, I mean, basically 7 or 8 songs meant for the dance club is pretty outstanding. But I just kind of feel like some of these, like, I really felt like the James Brown song dropped the ball. I really felt like the James Brown song kind of dropped the ball, and then there just were kind of some awkward ones on here that kind of lagged the steam on the project. That just really happens to kind of be a thing. But the social score, I'm going to give like an 8.5 out of 10 because I feel like 4 hit singles that were all fantastic, plus over half the album full of dance club cuts that just kind of make for an emphatic night out, really adds to like the spice of it. And there's even a couple extra ones depending upon how you feel about some of the songs I didn't enjoy. So to basically say about 2/3 of the album is just dance club ready, that's pretty emphatic. So I just would have to say it's a great time, great healthy popcorn kind of good time. But I just would have to say, I mean, and I look after, I don't want folks thinking when I say healthy popcorn that means it's kind of a square project. It's not. I feel like these guys know how to have a great time. It's just kind of the concept that you have to say it's just more blue collar induced, and it's more blue collar induced and more lighthearted. I think that's the concept. Black Eyed Peas carved out a really great niche and it worked. They were kind of one of the seminal rap albums that they had right here, Monkey Business of 2005. It carried on throughout the rest of the 2000s, and it just worked extremely well for them. So 8.5 social. Can this record be topped? I'd say not for the most part, but I probably could be in a mild sense. And in terms of the future, like Black Eyed Peas just dropped an album in late 2022, so I'm gonna have to check that out, and I'm eventually gonna have to get to more of these. But that's just kind of the concept there.